What's going on, guys? So today I wanted to get into my experience of doing a military PPM, or otherwise known as a DITY move. I think they just recently changed it to technically a PPM, a personal procured move. Um, and I was trying to figure out how I wanted to start this story, but I figured I kind of just go all over the place and then leave trickles of information that can possibly help you out and make your life a lot easier if you're getting out of the military and then you're moving to a new location, right, or you're going back home or something. And so the way it all started for me was when I decided to get out. When I was basically when I pushed the button to say, hey, I don't want to be in the military anymore. I don't plan on re-enlisting. As soon as I pushed that button, within, I don't know, weeks or a month, I started getting a bunch of emails from, the VA, DOD, and I started getting, I had to begin I started my process of officially getting out, right? This is about 12 months out from my date of separation, and I don't know, maybe 8 months from the date that I was actually officially going to move from my last duty station to where I currently call home. And it was really smooth up until maybe the last month and a half to 2 months from my day of departure at Augusta, Georgia, where I was stationed at. And I think about a month or 2 months prior from me leaving is when all the stress really hit me, because it's pretty simple, right? When you're about to leave your last base, and military members and people who have been in veterans, you get checklists, and it's kind of laid out for you, right? Like what to do. You have to check out with finance, you have to check out with MPF, and you have to check out with your unit, and you get checklists for all these things, right? And it tells you on the checklists like what to do and where to go and all that stuff, right? And the required documents, and that's stressful, like in and of itself. But you have enough experience by that point, and and luckily, I think most units are like this, but usually they'll give you time to actually do these things, especially if they know you're getting out so soon. And so my last month and a half to 2 months was really mostly dedicated to me out processing, basically. And so that wasn't too stressful. Where it got stressful was maybe the last 2 weeks to a month, because this is when I had to figure out what I was doing with my car, and then what I was doing with my household goods. And what I mean by that was, like, I knew I wasn't going to go back home. I knew I wasn't going to go to Guam, so I knew I was going to go cross country to California. And me being finance and knowing, certain information in regards to reimbursable expenses and how that works and travel expenses, I knew that if I drove from Augusta, Georgia to California, I'd get paid per diem, right? And at least the travel expenses, right, going from Augusta, Georgia to California. And so I knew I was going to drive, but my car wasn't big enough to hold all my household goods. And at the time, the TMO, the transportation office, didn't have any, I guess, contracted companies available for the moving of household goods. So I was forced to kind of do a DITY or PPM. And so that's what I had to do. And so finding a company, I guess, on your own for doing the DITY and PPM can kind of get squirrely. And in my case, it was squirrely. And I'll kind of get into that. And so finally, when I found the company, it looked great. It looked fine and all. The company looked official. The company, to be honest with you, I forgot the name of it already. It was like Affordable and Assertive Moving. I think that was the name of it. Affordable and Assertive Moving, out of New Jersey. I mean, it looked official. Let's rewind. So it was another company, and I didn't know about this. I didn't know that if you hire let's say a major moving company, they contract local or smaller companies to do the moving for them, and then I guess they have like this weird contract deal or whatever, and so that's what happened. So it was actually another company, which I forgot the name of, and they contracted this assertive and affordable moving. And when I called them, my whole thing was I wanted to save money. I wanted to make more money on the move than not. And so when I got the constructive costs, right? So when you do a move like that, that's either a personal procured or DITY move, you get a government constructed cost of the move, right? And this will determine on basically how much the government will actually pay for. And if you do a DITY move like that or PPM move, you actually can get reimbursed for the difference or what you paid out of pocket. And so I was like, oh, heck yeah. Like, I want to make money out of this move, right? I'm going to need it. Plus, moving is expensive, right? And so when I found this company, I was like, oh yeah, cool. It's like $2,500 or whatever. And the customer service was pretty much like non-existent. It was terrible. But I had no choice. It was about 2 weeks to a month out, and I couldn't really necessarily afford a more expensive moving company. And so I was like, you know what, we had this appointment scheduled, let's just do it. And so I was ready on we're like a week out of moving. We already have all of our household goods packed, right? Went to Home Depot, got our boxes and all that stuff. And so we packed and we lived in the basically living room of my apartment. We just laid the mattress down and slept there until my last day. Finally, they come over, and the moving company, and that's when we found out that it wasn't the company that we had spoken to. It was this sort of and affordable moving company. And you would think the company that I initially talked to would have told me that's how the process worked, but they didn't. And so this company came over, and immediately I just got this feeling that it was pretty sketchy. What I mean by that was just like, none of them spoke English. None of them could answer my questions. They just kind of came in, they had this truck, and then they picked up all my household goods, and then that was about it, right? And so I got all the documents. Where I should have known to back out from this whole thing was when they asked me to pay in cash. And so I didn't realize how prominent and common this is, but if a moving company asks you to pay for the expense up front or in cash or in any other form other than using a debit card or credit card, do not go with that company. And that's what happened to me, right? And so I refused, and luckily I refused enough to where they were like, okay, I will take the card, your debit card. And so I ended up paying with my debit card. And it was weird, right? Because they asked for basically half of the expense up front. And come to find out later on, when I did more research, good companies don't typically do that. They'll have you pay after the fact. And so that was a rookie move on my part. And so I did that. All the household goods was gone. It was actually more expensive. And so what a lot of these a lot of these moving companies will do is that they'll give you a price estimate. And then at least these bad moving companies, what they'll do is they'll give you a price estimate, and then they'll actually, when the day comes, they'll out of nowhere increase the price, and they'll give you reasons as to why, right? And I forgot the reasons why these guys increased the price for the move. But that's what happened with me. And later on, come to find out, companies will actually give you a price, and usually they don't change it, right? They'll give you a price and that's it. And they won't give you a price until usually the day they actually come over and whatever. And so another red flag, right, with the whole price increase. And so I had no choice. It was the last day. I had to get out of there. I had to go to California. I had to get there, get here within 4 or 5 days. And so I bit the bullet, and I paid for the upfront costs, and we left. And that was an interesting endeavor, going from California to Georgia. It took us 4 days nonstop driving. We switched on, drove about 6 to 8 hours each nonstop. I'd take a nap, my girlfriend would take a nap, and then did that basically all the way up until we got here. And then when we got here, we didn't, our household goods weren't here, and before we had left, the main guy of the company that came over to my apartment asked us, like, how soon would you want your household goods? And I said, I mean, as soon as you can. And you're like, okay, but like next week? And I was like, yeah, next week, that sounds great. So I was under the impression that I'd have my household goods by the time I got here. I thought I was racing them basically so I can get here before they did. And turned out that wasn't the case. And so my household goods actually took almost 2 months to get here. So to put that in perspective, I think maybe a month and a half. And so, what happens after that was just nuts. And I think I had the feeling in the bottom of my stomach ever since they had picked my household goods up. But I was just too stressed out to even, I guess, have common sense, I guess. And so we got here, and we slept on an air mattress for like 2 weeks. And then I bought a twin size mattress, and that was stressful because you're sleeping on a floor basically. I felt like, I don't know. And so finally, about a month and a half later, after a bunch of calls trying to figure out where my household goods were, and not getting basically the runaround, finally a month and a half comes around, and a driver calls me about the household goods being close by. Finally, we get the household goods like a day later. Oh, side note, make sure that if you're hiring a moving company, you get because you need weight tickets, right? For the reimbursable expenses. You get the reimbursable expenses if you're doing the military move, and you need a before and after weight ticket, right? Emptied, and then with the household goods. And I was under the impression that they did it because when I spoke to a customer service rep at this company, they said, yeah, we do weighted tickets. And I was like, great, because I'm military and we need that for the reimbursement, or else I'm screwed. And I don't have the money to pay, it was, I don't know, $4 or $5 grand. And so, because everything else was just so expensive. And so I get a call from this mover, and I ask him, you guys do, great, you guys have the weight tickets with you, right? And he was like, weight tickets? And I was like, you don't know anything about the weight tickets? And I was like, no. And so now I'm like sweating bullets because holy cow, I'm not gonna get my reimbursable expense, my reimbursement. And so I called the main guy at the Assertive and Affordable Moving, and then he mentioned that, and this is where everything was just crumbling around. He was like, we don't do weight tickets, sir. If I had known you're in the military, I wouldn't have accepted the business because working with military is a pain in the ass. He told me this, right? Customer service. And I got so upset. I'm like, well, no, like when I asked initially, you guys said yes, and I've just been getting false information this entire time. And this is kind of where it all kind of began to, I guess, dawn on me, I guess, that this was just a terrible decision, and I probably should have just bit the bullet and spent even more money on the move. But I called the driver, and I said, look, man, like, I'm military. This is costing me a lot of money. I need the reimbursement. I need those weight tickets. Great guy. I forgot his name, but he was able to get me the weight tickets. And so he got me the weight ticket for both the emptied and with the household goods weight tickets. And so the before and after. And so he was a lifesaver. But otherwise, I wouldn't have gotten the weight tickets if I had gone, maybe perhaps if he wasn't my driver, right? It was some other guy that just didn't want to do the legwork. And so that was stressful. And finally I got the weight tickets, and I was able to file my voucher for the reimbursement. But when I got the household goods, it was amazing. I had one 75-inch TV, one 45-inch TV, king size mattress, a sofa, a bunch of stuff, right? The reason why I bring that up is because my 45-inch TV was actually smashed. The glass was smashed. My king-size sofa had tears on the bottom of the sofa, and I had dishes like china that were smashed. Boxes were ruined. They were like treated like they were kicked around, and I had dumbbells, weights, for like working out and stuff. They were gone. They were missing, and I had a bedroom mirror that was broken, and so all these things that were not cheap were broken, and I had to call them and ask and say like, hey, what the heck, man, like all my stuff is destroyed, I'm missing a TV. And I got, without getting too deep into all that, the runaround for that, ended up not getting reimbursed for any of that stuff, and it turns out the company was a fraud, and it turned out a lot of other people had that issue with that company. And so the biggest takeaway from this video is that do your research. The moving can be expensive, getting out of the military is expensive, but if you need to pay the extra bucks for the move for a sound heart, do that. And if need be, move your own stuff, get a U-Haul, drive cross country with your household goods. At least you know it's in your hands, and so you can take the responsibility of all those things. And so it was a pretty harsh experience, to say the least, with this whole move. And so I was able to finally file my separation voucher with my household goods, my weight tickets, and luckily I was able to get more money than I actually spent on the reimbursement, which was a blessing. But I still didn't get, there wasn't any, I guess, I don't know how you want to say it, but I didn't get my TV back. I didn't get reimbursement on the broken TV, on all my other stuff that was broken. And so that company pretty much got away with murder, and it was really frustrating. But I'm doing this video so that you can avoid that and not have to go through what I went through with the move. And yeah, moving is tough, especially when you're doing a move in the military. Moving is tough in general, but for some reason, military moves, I can only speak on military moves because that's what I've been doing. It's extraordinary because there's so many different requirements needed of you, and there's so many different hoops and things you have to go through before you actually do the move, and then even after the move, and to get your money back and all these things. And just hang in there if you're currently going through a military move right now, a PPM, a DITY, if the government's paying for it, whatever. Hang in there. It's all over now. I mean, I've been here for the last 5.5 months, almost 6 months. No, actually 6 months now, which is crazy. And I'm coming off of my date of separation at the end of the month, and lessons learned, I guess, without beating up a dead horse. And so I hope you guys took away something from this video. I hope this kind of helps you out if you're going through a similar situation, or if you're about to go through this whole moving process. Hang in there. Let me know what you want to hear about in another video. If you haven't checked out my last 2 videos, I did an interview with an Air Force veteran, a 9-year Air Force veteran, and the last video I did was actually with a Army service member who's transitioning out of the military at the end of the year. And so those are great videos. Check those out, very informative. And so yeah, I really appreciate you guys checking in and watching these videos. I hope these videos are helping you out. As I said, I'm going to do these videos every week, and so I look forward to interacting with you guys and all these things. And so thanks. I really appreciate it. All right, check you guys later.